Have you ever watched a movie and been like, man, I wish this was a series of images that I could go back and reference and post in places? You probably haven't, but I have. Like this animation right here. It's Jane from the Disney Tarzan movie, and it's pretty beautiful, honestly. Like just going frame by frame, watching it develop. This 40-something second clip is like 1,300 images, and so you can really just feel the love that went into every one of these. And I don't know, it's been a thing I've wanted to do for a while. So I'm gonna show the why, and then we're gonna go over to the how. So first, why would you do this? Well, if you're going to Shrekfest, I think the coolest thing that could happen is you see a table, and on that table there's a bunch of notebooks, and each one of the pages on those little binders has a single frame from the movie. And so just volumes of Shrek and people reading Shrek together. And I don't know, you could do that. You could also throw one of these on a flash drive, hand it to your friend. If you got like an Italian friend, you can export Goodfellas into a bunch of images and put it on a flash drive and hand it to them. And if they don't like your present, then they're not really Italian. No one else to tell you. Just like if you got like a friend, you do the same thing. You get a bunch of images of the movie Drive. You put it on a flash drive. You give it to him. If you didn't like it, he's just lying about being an incel. You're not a real incel until you've looked at every frame from the movie Drive individually. I'm sorry. That's just... You're going to have to take your incel card away. Or, you know, you could go and grab Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, export that into a bunch of frames, and then just have it as your background on your computer. Like every minute, you get a new frame from the movie Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And if you have this wallpaper where it's going through Rudolph every frame by frame, you do that on your work computer, then your coworkers can know that you're psychotic. And I think that's a win-win for everyone. You could also do the same thing with yt-dlp. You may go to prison afterwards, but that's your choice. Yeah, I could see a lot of good and bad uses for this. But yeah, Disney has a lot of pencil tests on YouTube, Vimeo, and a bunch of other sites that people have uploaded. And I think those are pretty useful because it's kind of reminded me of a thing that I heard that Hunter S. Thompson did, where he had The Great Gatsby and he typed it out himself. Like, he had a copy of The Great Gatsby, grabbed a typewriter, and typed it out. He did this so he could know what it felt like to write the great American novel. Like, it gave him that feeling. He did this with other works too. And so you, as like an animator, you could then export maybe one of these simplified pencil tests. It'd still be a really lengthy process, but you could go through one by one, just try your hand at reanimating the scene. Use this as sort of like a reference, you know, throw it into like Procreate, or I guess Procreate Dreams is the thing that, or like Toon Boom or whatever else you're using, and I think it'd be a fun experience. Okay, so that's the why. We're going to go on to the how. And even if you've never used the command line in your life, now's a good time to start. You have a good use case for it. So we're going to grab ffmpeg. It's going to be a link to this in the description. We're going to go to the releases page. This person has packages for us. Now this is for Windows, but we can also set this up for Mac and Linux too, if you're not on Windows. But you're going to want to download ffmpeg -master -latest -win64 -gpl. Gonna grab that and gonna get the zip folder, And inside of the zip folder, there's going to be this bin folder. And then we're going to copy this ffmpeg.exe. Going to copy that right into whatever directory we're going to be working in. So I've copied it into this pencil test folder. And that's just the ffmpeg.exe. We're going to do a similar thing, but with yt-dlp. So ffmpeg is for the movie part, for the conversion. yt-dlp is actually going to be for downloading the videos that we're going to use. Because if you download a video from YouTube or another platform, it's probably going to have a really stable frame rate, so it's going to help us. So, same thing. We go and we move yt-dlp.exe into the same directory. Now, if you're on Mac, you can use Homebrew, which is like a package manager for Mac OS, and get both of those applications through that. And if you're on Linux, you can just use your regular package manager like apt or pacman, and it's usually in most distros repos. So pretty easy process. And then on Windows, you can launch Windows Terminal, PowerShell, a regular command prompt. We're just going to launch the regular command prompt here. It's no frills. Then what we're going to do is we're going to type in cd. C is in Charlie, D is in dog. Stands for change directory. We're going to do a space. And after that space, notice I clicked into the white space next to the directory that we're in, this pencil test folder. If you click on the white space right here, it actually highlights all of that directory. Then we can right click copy or do like a control C and then paste it in right after the CD. So that changes into that directory where we have access to both ffmpeg and yt-dlp. So you can just pretend that we're downloading this Vimeo, or we could just do it for real actually. Let's just do that. So type in yt-dlp, do a space, then we're going to paste in the Vimeo link because this downloads from YouTube, it downloads from Dailymotion, downloads from Vimeo, all sorts of different sites. Hit enter, and it's just going to try to start downloading that with all the default settings. Usually takes a second here for it to go through and actually download it. It's going to throw it into different parts. And what I'm actually going to do right here... Oh, no, wait, I was going to cancel out. If you hit Control-C inside of a terminal, it cancels the command. But yeah, we really don't need to do that. So then that gives us the file. And you're going to want to rename the actual file name on here to something with no spaces. Just because spaces and special characters will mess this up a little bit. You can always encapsulate stuff into like quotations, but it's a little bit much for what we need to do. So type this into easy-video. And what I'm going to do here, so we have easy-video, which is this thing that we download from Vimeo. We're going to make a new folder just to make sure this isn't too messy. And I'm just going to name it new. Now at this point, we're going to use ffmpeg. So you can type in clear if you want to clear, or is it CLS for, there we go, CLS and command prompt. Forget, it's always different depending on which one you're doing. And now we're going to type in ffmpeg, and then we're going to do the hyphen I, which is, it stands for input. And then after the hyphen I, after you type in ffmpeg, we're going to specify the input file. So in this point, we're going to use that easy file we just renamed. So we'll type in EA, and then if you hit the tab key, it's actually going to autocomplete. And you always want to make sure you have the like the file type at the very end of it. So if it's a .mp4, it has a .mp4. If it's a .webm, you put the .webm, and so on. And what we're going to do is we can go ahead and just type in image, or you can type in whatever you want, like the word file. That's just the first part of the what we're gonna have for the output. So we're gonna do a %, and then D as in Daniel, and that %D is actually what's gonna give us an incrementing number. Just so you have multiple files and incrementing number there. And we're gonna put in .png. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna give us a file that starts with it's gonna say file1.png, file2.png, and so on. And what we may want to do, because if we do that, it's going to extract it into the same directory right here, which you can do. You could hit enter and run this command, no problem. But what we're going to do is, before the word file here, we're going to type in new and then a \, because you'll notice that folder we created, it's called new, and that's where we want our images to go. So if we do new \, and then file, or the word image, or any word, and then that %d.png, that's going to put all the files in that folder. Now if you're on Mac or Linux, what you're going to want to do is you want to do a / instead of a \. Now it's kind of a weird thing for directories. Like Windows uses backslashes, Mac and Linux use /. What the mnemonic everyone uses to remember that is that Windows is backwards, Linux or Mac is forward thinking. I mean, I don't think Mac is forward thinking. Linux, yeah, maybe not Mac, but that's the little mnemonic everyone uses. So we hit enter right here. It's gonna start going through that extraction process right here, and I'm actually gonna cut it off because you know what? It's already halfway there. I'm just gonna let it go all the way there. But afterwards, we're going to do a thing to where we can see exactly how many frames per second each file is, and look at all of the details for it. So, and also to make sure that our frame math checks out on here. So, it exported it into 1,182 files inside of this new folder. So all these look good. What we may want to do, if you ever want to know more info about a file, you can actually take out all this stuff, and if we just do ffmpeg -i and then easy video, or whatever the video file name is, whatever extension is, we hit enter, it's going to give us an error message right here. One output file must be specified. But if we look up here, it's actually going to give us some info about the video that we need. So we know this video is 24 frames per second, and that it's actually where is it? Oh, I'm blind. Yeah, 49.25 seconds long. So what we could do, just to make sure our math is right here, so I've already kind of calculated it. So for that Tarzan Vimeo clip, it's exactly 24 frames a second, so that times 49.25 gives you 1,182 files there. Sometimes you're going to wind up with one extra file. Sometimes you're going to wind up with one less. I would say it's not too much to mess with. You could start adding in extra arguments on there, like you could do like /r24 to make sure it goes to like 24 frames a second. It forces it just in case it doesn't do it automatically. Same thing with this this VF FPS argument. And then some people like to turn off VSync, but I so far have not had to do that. So yeah, it's a pretty easy process. It's everything you need to do to the export. And we can actually look at some of these other files here too that I've downloaded. So if we look at this one right here, so I'll type in a P, do a tab again, and that's poo.webm, and that's actually this little Winnie the Pooh pencil test. And this one is actually going to be at, and you may want to just take note of this, just depending on what you're looking to do. It's 23.98 frames per second, and that's a duration. And from that one, it gives us 2,339 frames. But if we look into my folder here, it's actually one short, so it's 2,338 frames. So, you know, if you're a stickler for that kind of thing, fine, you can kind of play with the settings to get that extra frame. I don't think it's worth trying to get that extra frame, but, you know, if you want, there's the math. And also, you'll notice I did .png at the end of it. You may want to do .jpeg. So, like for instance, this poo one right here, in PNG files, it's 960 megabytes, whereas the JPEG version is only 50 megabytes. And that's just because, like, PNG is lossless, and JPEG is a lossy format, so it uses more compression, and it's considered a lossy format. But yeah, that's about all you need to know. And if you want to know more about ffmpeg, there's this great site, ffmprovisor, and they go over a lot of the basics. If you're more hardcore, you can use the official documentation. Also with yt-dlp, they have documentation on their GitHub page. I did actually make videos on how to use these before. Like, if you want to see me like export like a wrestling show into 30-second clips with yt-dlp and ffmpeg, I got a video about that. I also have a zine that I made about yt-dlp and ffmpeg, and you can actually print that out. I've got like a link for templates if you want to make your own zine. And yeah, it kind of looks like this. You can make a little box for them. And I have a video on making zines too, if you want to make a zine or turn all the images from the stuff you've made into a zine, which I may make a video about that at some point. But yeah, hope you have fun.